Coming up, the sport of show jumping, obstacle courses making horse and rider act as one.
Leave the driving to us, a mode of transportation that makes the countries of Europe a hop, skip, and a jump away.
And a family that's transcending generational lines while making an effort to understand each other. All this and more is next on Time for Living. Hello and welcome to Time for Living. I'm Howard Nielsen.
And I'm Janet Jagalian. On today's show, we'll meet some very interesting people and see a fun way to travel.
That's right. One family is facing a situation that many of us will likely face in the future. They're making what could be a stressful situation a positive and educational one for everyone involved.
We'll also find out how to protect ourselves in the summer months, especially when the forecast calls for the 3 H's, hot, humid, and hazy. But let's start today by introducing you to a very special person with a very unique and interesting job.
Today's lead story begins with a look at the sport of show jumping. Well, many of us may never be involved in this sport that makes man and horse act as one. The beauty and dynamics involved can be appreciated by anybody, young and old alike. So whether you've never ridden a horse or if you're an avid horse fan, even if it's only at the racetrack, sit back and enjoy the beauty, athleticism, and precision of this historical sport.
The equestrian sport of show jumping is among the oldest of the Olympic disciplines. Derived from the challenge of harnessing the oldest source of power known to mankind, the horse, today show jumping has become a popular sport throughout the world and reaches out to all age groups in our society. It is also becoming a wonderful spectator sport. At the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, the United States equestrian team won a silver medal in show jumping. This medal for jumping, combined with a bronze medal in dressage and a silver medal in 3-day eventing, presented the United States with the honor of being the only country to win a medal in each of the Olympic equestrian events. Equestrian events like show jumping is one of the few sports that men and women of all ages can compete on an equal footing. There are no handicaps for either men or women, and age is not a factor. A number of show jumpers are in their 50s. The true competition lies in the ability of the rider and the horse to become one and overcome the obstacles in the show jumping ring. This is accomplished by jumping over fences or gates. The horse and rider that complete the course in the fastest time, knocking down the fewest rails, is the champion. Before each event, a course designer positions the gates and fences in an arrangement that tests the rider and the horse. The art of selecting where the fences are placed is one that comes after many years of experience and training. One such course designer is the topic of our feature on Time for Living. She is a member of a very small group of 5 women who have taken on the challenge and the fun of designing equestrian events in the world-class arena of show jumping.
When we come back, we'll meet that woman who makes a horse and rider act as one. Stay with us.
Attention mature travelers. Grand Circle Travel invites you to discover the world in a whole new way. When you call for your copy of the world's best travel values, absolutely free. Inside, you'll discover a completely new way to travel that's planned and paced exclusively for mature travelers. At last, discover the joy of meeting local people in the places you visit and learn about their unique culture and customs and experience their greatest art and architecture. From a picnic in the Swiss Alps to the spice markets of Istanbul, Grand Circle Travel invites you to discover the world in a whole new way. Call for your free copy of the world's best travel values today. To receive complete details on how you can discover the world in a whole new way with Grand Circle Travel, including your free copy of the world's best travel values, call toll-free 1-800-966-2768. That's 1-800-966-2768. Call today.
Welcome back to Time for Living. Now that you've seen the beauty of show jumping, we'd like you to meet the person who's responsible for a lot of the courses these show horses and riders have to become familiar with.
Linda Allen is from Salinas, California, and is an International Equestrian Federation course designer. Linda, in her 50s, is no longer able to ride in jumping competitions after being injured in a fall in 1981. Now she is a member of the exclusive club of world-class women course designers. Among her accomplishments, Linda designed the equestrian show jumping course at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. Currently, she is designing courses throughout the United States to test riders and horses for positions at the United States Equestrian Team Selection Trials in preparation for the year 2000 Olympics to be held in Sydney, Australia. We caught up with Linda at the Festival of Champions, the headquarters of the U.S. Equestrian Team in Gladstone, New Jersey. What is the job of the course designer?
Course designer's job is a little bit different than there isn't a comparable position in too many other sports. Probably the closest is a golf course designer. My job is to set up the circumstances and the whole playing field that the competitors jump over in order to come up with a winner.
The course changes from event to event. It's never the same. How do you determine what you get for a course and what the criteria is for each event?
Well, every competition has a little different criteria, a little different perspective. For example, last year, this competition was the final qualification to decide who represented us at the Atlanta Olympic Games. And so the primary purpose of the class was to get the very best of our international athletes to rise to the top so that they went on to Atlanta to represent us. This year is more of a building year. It's between our major international competitions, so this one is a little bit more geared towards adding to the experience of the horses.
Are the courses you design a secret in terms of what the rider will expect?
Every course is different. So the riders have the opportunity to come out and walk the course once it's complete, once it's been inspected by the jury, the judges, and they come out, walk the course on foot, and take a look at what the course looks like from the ground, what the distances are between the jumps, how the jumps are constructed, and looking at it from the perspective of their own particular horses that they're riding in the competition, decide how to best ride it. The horses never see the competition or the course until they actually come in the ring and are competing. So the riders have a big job when they walk the course.
How did you get into course designing, and where does one get experience?
It's a rather unusual job. There's not too many people doing it worldwide, and I competed internationally. I was lucky enough to represent the United States a few times on Nations Cup competitions, and I had a back injury that made riding out of the question and wanted to stay in the sport because I really enjoy the sport and find it quite fascinating. And I had done some course designing before my riding career got quite so hectic, and so I picked up from there and have been lucky enough to see a lot.
Would you say that your latest claim to fame is the Atlanta Olympics?
Definitely. The Olympics are something that, as a rider, as a competitor, you're very lucky if you get the chance to do it. And as a course designer, it's very much the same thing. For example, when the Olympics were in Seoul, Korea, there was not a Korean course designer that builds at the international level, and so a European did the course in that case. But when they were in Atlanta, they try very hard to select from the country. And I happened to have the most international exposure at that time and was invited to do the games.
Now, I know riding is considered an equal opportunity sport. I mean, it doesn't really matter, you can be 60 or 20, a man or a woman. That doesn't really matter in jumping. But how many women are doing what you're doing?
There's a few of us, not too many. One of my mentors in my early stages of getting started doing this, and actually prior to that when I was still riding, was a woman by the name of Pamela Crothers from England, who was a very fine course designer and was the technical delegate for the Seoul Olympics. And so she broke the ground a little bit for us, and she has since retired. And there are a few international course designers in the world that are women, but it's still a man's world.
How long have you been doing this?
I started riding at a relatively late age, about 11, and rode for quite a number of years. And then in 1981, my riding career came to an end, and I've been course building pretty much full-time since then.
You've been doing this for 15 or 16 years, huh? Well, how long do you think you will continue designing courses?
Well, I still enjoy it a great deal, and I would like to continue. Pamela is into her 80s, and she only retired a short time ago, Pamela Crothers that I spoke of earlier. And I don't know, so the travel will get to me before the actual work does, I think. The amount of travel that is involved gets a little tiresome, but the rest of it is great.
What kind of goals do you set for yourself?
Continuing to stay interested in it, to satisfy the riders. I do quite a lot of work with our national federation and with the international federation, and hopefully can contribute a little bit to the sport that's been very good to me.
You know, it's a very exciting sport, exciting for both the riders and for the spectators, but it's also a very gracious sport.
It is. A lot of us say that it's a very well-kept secret in the United States. It's a very popular sport in Europe and in many parts of the world. I travel all over the world with show jumping, and it has a unique character because it's a team event, but it's a pair of competitors, and one of them is a human and the other is an equine. And it makes for a very different kind of a sport because they each bring their own personality, their own particular degree of enthusiasm on a given day into it, and that's one of the reasons that men and women can compete equally, and very often people of very differing ages are able to compete on equal footing.
Have you ever experienced, after a rather difficult event, and had a rider come up to you and say, "What are you doing?"
Of course. When you take on the job as course designer, you know when you start out that the winner is going to be, you're going to be their favorite person. The ones that don't win, you always could have done something a little bit different. And that is the difference in course designing and in the whole nature of courses. When you're a rider, you're looking at the course from the perspective of your particular horse that you're competing with, and you'll see the course in a different way. When you're the course designer, you are looking at it from the perspective of every rider in the class. And so, of course, some elements of it are going to suit some people more than others.
Well, it's very apparent that you do sound very enthused about what you do.
The sport fascinated me as a child, and I didn't outgrow it. I know a lot of people, the number of people who are interested in horses and fascinated by horses is very high, from just my informal surveys on airplanes. And the more I got involved in it, the more I became fascinated with it. And I love the Horses have a very unique character. They're very interesting. They call them noble animals, and to me the name fits. The horses that are involved in the sporting levels, competitive levels, are just as keen competitors as their riders are. The best horses are, their whole personality changes when they get to an event. They know the important competitions and they really get up for it.
If you're interested in seeing an equestrian jumping event and possibly watching Linda's course designs, there are a number of show jumping festivals happening around the country throughout the summer and fall.
There's one in Lake Placid, New York called the I Love New York Horse Show, or the Attitash Equine Festival in Mount Washington Valley, New Hampshire. Now on the West Coast is the Pebble Beach Grand Prix in Pebble Beach, California, or the Los Angeles International in Burbank. In Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, there's the Grand Prix de Penn International, just to name a few. When Time for Living continues, meet a family that deserves a second effort salute for what it's doing for 3 generations.
Welcome back to Time for Living. Over 50 million Americans, that's 1/4 of the total U.S. population, face the challenge of the sandwich generation that is caught in the middle between raising their children and caring for their aging parents.
When the Gaiarces family of Potomac, Maryland found themselves in this situation, they decided that it would be best for everyone, their 5 children and their father, to live under the same roof. In today's Second Effort Salute, Mary Norton tells us how it's working out.
90-year-old Dominic Gaiarsa was living alone in Boston, Massachusetts after his second wife died. 500 miles away, his only living child, Arthur, a prominent Washington, D.C. attorney, did what he felt was best for his father and for his family.
We had no second thoughts about it. It's a natural occurrence that you take care of your parents, and it's a continuation of the aspect of responsibility. Family responsibilities, which are very strong within the Italian community.
Arthur's wife, Melanie, agreed.
To us, it was, if anything, would be just an addition to our lives, a benefit and a pleasure that we would get to have him every day.
The Gaiarsas felt it would be a great learning experience for their 5 children to live under the same roof as their 90-year-old grandfather.
It's nice to have him around because it gives me a sense of history and background and something that I'm trying to soak in so I can pass it on someday.
Stories at the dinner time are always fun. They tend to talk about times when there wasn't as many modern conveniences as now.
The relationship building and the sharing of knowledge and the learning experience about aging all through life is an extreme benefit to everyone involved.
Arthur Guyarsa feels multi-generational households have an even greater benefit to society.
The breakdown of the family structure might be one of the problems that we have in this country. And we do need to rebuild it. And putting 2 or 3 generations, 3 or 4 generations even under the same roof is one way of maybe even correcting that particular problem.
The family patriarch is happy in his new environment. He continues to stay in good shape by riding his bicycle 2 miles a day. He also keeps the family well fed with his fine Italian cooking. We asked him how he does it.
You gotta move, work and working. And I never think you're older.
I'm Mary Norton reporting.
The parent-child reversal is a dynamic that is often difficult for some in the sandwich generation, but not for the Guyarsa's family. As you just saw, Arthur and his father mutually treat each other with love, compassion, and respect, which makes for a balanced and healthy relationship.
A footnote on Arthur Guyarsa. He has been recently nominated by President Clinton to be a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals, and he's awaiting Senate confirmation. His success, he says, is a result of his father's influence. Now, if you have someone you think deserves a Second Effort Salute, then write to us here at Time for Living, care of Second Effort Salute, P.O. Box 8452, Boston, Massachusetts, 02114.
Or you can leave your comments or questions on our voicemail by calling 800-232-7213 or fax us at 617-329-1774. We'd love to hear from you. When Time for Living continues, all aboard the trains of Europe. A nice, relaxing way to travel you may want to consider on your next journey.
Often when we think of taking a vacation, our mode of transportation is usually a plane to our destination, or we rent a car when we've arrived at our final destination.
What we may not consider for transportation is the train, not just to get us from point A to point B, but taking the train as a vacation. And while this is a great way to see the country, chances are we're concerned about the limitations and inconvenience we might suffer on a train. Perhaps today's Traveling Around segment will change your mind, at least as a way to see Europe.
Time was when the act of travel was as much a part of the journey as the destination itself. It was the art of motion, filled with moments to be savored and memories in the making, changing forever the boundaries of the world we once knew. Today, European railways have recaptured the essence of that bygone era by blending the elegance of travel with the technology of tomorrow. Trains allow us to relive the past as we discover the future. A mosaic of time and space that revisits the romance of the rails, combining comfort and service with efficiency and a bold new dimension, the element of speed.
I've been informed by our driver that we've now reached our maximum speed of 300 kilometres, that's 186 miles per hour.
When the great Scottish novelist Robert Louis Stevenson described rail travel as a flying chain of carriages, he must have been looking to the future. For whether you dash through the countryside aboard the French TGVs or the magnificent German ICEs, whether you race across the landscape on the Pendolinos of Italy or the Aves in Spain or Sweden's X2000s that tilt as they speed round a bend, or whether you burrow beneath the English Channel on an elegant Eurostar, high-speed railways have altered the face of Europe and changed the world of transportation forever. But while speed and efficiency are common ambitions, the technology to achieve them are as individual and diverse as the countries themselves. The result? A magnificent variety of ultra-modern machines that make traveling by rail more rewarding than ever. High-speed thoroughbreds that can whisk you to the next stop on your itinerary at nearly 200 miles per hour. Now, Great Britain is linked to the continent by the technological wonder of the Channel Tunnel and the Eurostar trains. Have a delicious breakfast at your seat in the morning, or sip a glass of champagne in the late afternoon, all while speeding from London to Paris or Brussels by rail, a journey that takes just 20 minutes to pass through the tunnel. But trains are just one part of the story, because new stations and their facilities are also providing greater convenience and services for travelers. Waterloo Station in London has been redesigned to accommodate Eurostar service to the continent. In France, Eurostars to Brussels and Paris go by way of the ultra-modern terminal in Lille, which now serves as a major connecting point for French TGVs speeding their way to Paris and beyond. With reflections on its past, Lille now peers toward the future with a vital new role in the rail travel of tomorrow. In addition, Lille also provides TGV services directly to de Gaulle International Airport outside of Paris. This architectural gem now makes de Gaulle Airport a major hub for Europe by allowing travelers continuous access to other parts of the continent without changing trains in Paris. As with de Gaulle, European countries are increasingly connecting airport and rail facilities so that visitors and business travelers alike have virtually seamless transitions in getting where they need to go. For example, Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam has long been a primary gateway in Europe. And today there are also superb direct connections to the central rail station downtown. But Schiphol Railway Station also features a magnificent mall, complete with shops and boutiques that go far beyond the traditional duty-free shopping so familiar to us all. There's even a casino for those with a few extra guilders to spend, and of course, plenty of fast food as well. But the future of European rail travel isn't limited to the velocity of its trains, nor to the splendor of its glorious new stations. The new intercity trains in Denmark, for example, connect most large towns on main lines in the country. And while perfect for business travelers, These trains are ideal for vacationers as well, because they provide a high level of comfort and flexibility. No need to worry about connections between Denmark and Germany either. DSB Intercities simply roll onto ferries that connect the mainland between the two countries. Traveling overnight? In some places, you'll discover the new City Nightline trains. Created for overnight travel only, these trains add a new dimension to sleeper car design. Standard seats are shaped like a crescent to provide privacy and quiet, and the seats recline to allow added comfort. Standard sleepers are designed with upstairs or downstairs compartments, all complete with wash basins, bottled water, towels, and even a down comforter. In addition, there are several suites, a richly appointed dining car, and a lounge for a relaxing drink and good conversation. In the morning, awaken to breakfast served right in your compartment. And there are many other comfortable hotel trains ideally suited for traveling long distances at night. They're not only fun, but time savers as well, allowing you to arrive in the morning with a full day to enjoy your next destination. More and more European railways are adding double-deck trains to their systems. Perfect for commuters and business people, double-deckers may be the next generation of technological development because they save space, wear and tear on the rails, and are user-friendly to the environment. And for visitors, there's also a new generation of panoramic and scenic trains with huge picture windows that allow the pageantry of the European countryside to be seen in all of its glorious splendor. As Paul Thoreau once stated, "If a train is large and comfortable, you don't even need a destination." He couldn't have been more correct. For today, when you travel by train through Europe, you'll quickly discover that the journey is once again as much a part of the experience as the destination itself. Truly, European rail travel is travel with a flair.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about European rail travel, call Grand Circle Travel at 800-966-2802, extension 105. Again, that's Grand Circle Travel, 800-966-2802, extension 105.
When we come back, considering a medical savings account could protect you a lot better than you think. Health, finance, and more when Time for Living continues.
Traveling Around is brought to you by Grand Circle Travel. Attention mature travelers. Grand Circle Travel invites you to discover the world in a whole new way. When you call for your copy of the world's best travel values, absolutely free. Inside, you'll discover a completely new way to travel that's planned and paced exclusively for mature travelers. At last, discover the joy of meeting local people in the places you visit, and learn about their unique culture and customs, and experience their greatest art and architecture. From a picnic in the Swiss Alps to the spice markets of Istanbul, Grand Circle Travel invites you to discover the world in a whole new way. Call for your free copy of the world's best travel values today. To receive complete details on how you can discover the world in a whole new way with Grand Circle Travel, including your free copy of the world's best travel values, call toll-free 1-800-966-2768. That's 1-800-966-2768. Call today.
Welcome back to Time for Living. If you're not planning to be sick or have any member of your family sick, then this information about medical insurance may not be of interest to you. However, if you're a realist, then you know medical costs can be devastating, which brings us to today's subject, MSAs, or medical savings accounts. This is a recent approach approved by Congress to help people combat big medical bills.
In simple terms, it's a method of reducing medical costs through tax deductibility, tax-free accumulation of monies needed for medical bills, and paying some of the expense with the cooperation of a small company in certain instances. Steve Burke explains in today's Health, Finance, and More.
The formal definition of a medical savings account is that it is a trust created for the exclusive purpose of paying the qualified medical expenses of the account holder. An account holder is the individual on whose behalf the MSA was established, or members of his family. A spouse or individual can have their employer establish an MSA. If an individual is a self-employed and has a high deductible plan, an MSA can be put in place. The thrust of an MSA is to keep medical expenses, including premiums, low. Therefore, the plan must be a high deductible plan which has a low premium. The money paid for the MSA is deductible to the individual or the individual's employer. Happily, if the employer pays, although it's deductible to the employer, it does not become income to the employee. Nor are there any fringe costs such as FICA or FUTA expenses involved to either the employee or the employer. For a small employer or a self-employed individual, an MSA is definitely something to look into. While it may not fit every person, an MSA should be researched with an individual or small company's insurance agent or financial advisor. Because this is a new tax advantage product for those inclined to use it, there will probably be some confusion at the outset. However, since in the proper place it can be very beneficial, it deserves your attention. Question: where does one get an MSA? There are a number of banks who are prepared to set up accounts, as well as mutual fund companies and, of course, insurance companies. Again, I stress that the basic insurance must be a high deductible policy, such as $1,500 for individuals, up to $4,500 for family plans. The reason is to keep the cost down. How does this work? The combination of the lower premium, because of the high deductible, and the tax deductibility of the money set aside for the medical savings account should provide a lower outlay of money over the years for the average family or individual. Remember, too, that there are exceptions to everything, so make sure you understand all the fine print. As an example of cost, consider a family which experiences only small claims in a year, about $500. The high deductible plan, about $2,250, with premiums at $2,280 versus low deductible of $500 or the $4,225 premium, would have a year-end cost of about $1,632 in this case, as opposed to $4,725. That's a benefit between the lower premium and the tax savings. That's most of the good news, but there are other areas to consider, such as interest earned without tax and year-to-year savings when no claims are made. All of this is good, but it's important to look for the less attractive features of MSAs too. There aren't many of them, but they do exist. For example, there are limits to single coverage and family coverage in terms of contribution that you can make. In the case of a single, with $1,500 deductible, you can contribute up to 65% of the deduction, or $975, but no more. Of course, that's deductible, so it's a real savings to the individual. Limits also apply to family MSAs as well. 75% is the limit of your contribution, which is also a deduction. Finally, there is a penalty if one goes over the maximum contribution. It's 6% of the excess. Also, a 15% penalty for withdrawing funds for other than qualified medical expenses. This last simply means you can take money out of your MSA for any reason, but if it's not medically related cost, it probably will be taxed. You can pay for an MSA over a period of time or in a lump sum. The choice is pretty much up to you, and you should evaluate the different options to see which one serves you best. Overall, if you don't have a medical plan in place which pleases you, it would be wise to investigate a medical savings plan. And remember to ask lots of questions. I'm Steve Burke. Time for Living.
If you have any questions regarding any financial topics discussed on Time for Living, then write to Steve Burke at Time for Living, care of Health, Finance, and More, P.O. Box 8452, Boston, Massachusetts, 02114.
Or you can leave your comments or questions on our voicemail by calling 800-232-7213 or fax us at 617-329-1774. We'd love to hear from you.
When Time for Living continues, making sure you don't suffer from heat exhaustion, precautions you need to be aware of when we come back. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Time for Living. Just as cold weather can be a health hazard to older Americans, the summer heat can be just as dangerous.
Therefore, medical experts say older people need to be aware of the dangers of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. In this report, Mary Norton tells us what it is older people need to be aware of specifically.
As temperatures hit 90 plus this summer, it can spell danger for many older people.
It can be quite dangerous. In its extreme forms, it's life-threatening.
Heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Older Americans are especially vulnerable. As the body ages, it may not adjust to spells of hot weather like it used to. Also, some older people have problems perspiring.
Many older people have this just because of the aging of the skin, but this can also be caused by reactions to certain medications that they may be taking.
Symptoms of heat exhaustion include headache, nausea, and fatigue. A person with heat stroke, which can be fatal, can suffer from confusion, faintness, and may behave strangely. But heat illness can be prevented. Drink plenty of liquids, even if you're not thirsty.
And here we're not talking about alcohol or caffeine-containing beverages. The best things really are water and fruit or vegetable juices.
Wear loose, light-fitting, and light-colored clothing. Avoid the midday sun between noon and 4 o'clock. If the heat is excessive, try to stay in cooler places, like a mall. Doctors warn if you suspect someone is sick due to the heat, seek medical attention right away. I'm Mary Norton reporting.
You can learn even more about heat exhaustion and heat stroke by calling for a free brochure titled Hypothermia, a hot weather hazard for older people. The phone number to call is the National Institute on Aging at 1-800-222-2225. That's 1-800-222-2225. We now turn our focus from the heat to the sun and its rays. Physical appearance, especially of the face, remains a powerful factor in human interactions. Recent studies have found that attractiveness has significant impact on social interactions and on self-perception of youth, vitality, confidence, outlook on life, and mood, even beyond 90 years of age.
People who are self-conscious about physical imperfections create a self-imposed barrier between themselves and others. Dr. Alan Abrams discussed these issues in today's Medical Minute.
Good skin care throughout the lifespan can have long-term positive effects, but the psychological benefit of addressing skin disorders at any age can have immediate positive impact. Much of the skin problems associated with aging are really skin problems associated with sun exposure. Underprotected skin, exposed to sunlight, accumulates damage. Some of that damage can be reversed. Other common skin changes experienced after 60 are readily treatable. Here are a few common skin problems for you to be aware of and consider addressing with your physician, dermatologist, or other health professional. 1. Are you developing waxy, raised, pigmented, scaly markings? These could be seborrheic keratosis. These skin growths are not cancer and don't turn into cancer. They often develop on the trunk but can occur anywhere. They can be removed easily in the doctor's office by freezing or curette. If you don't like yours, ask about having them removed. 2. Fleshy colored tags of skin commonly develop as we age and are called skin tags. If yours are troubling you, ask your physician about removing them and feel relieved. 3. Any area of the skin on sun-exposed surfaces that is a sandpaper-like patch should be seen by a skin doctor. These may be actinic keratoses, and over many, many years these can turn into a skin cancer. Sun protection with SPF 15 or greater to protect the problem from continuing to get worse, and local treatment with special creams or with liquid nitrogen can alleviate the problem. 4. Any new growing area of pigmentation should be pointed out to your physician. It is not up to you to know what to worry about. Let your doctor help direct you. Most of what we consider aging is changes in pigment and skin elasticity that are caused by chronic sun exposure. Wrinkling, dryness, itching, and all kinds of new skin markings accompanying age are promoted by overexposure to the sun. Recent evidence suggests that some of this may be reversible with topical medication. Remember to have your physician examine your skin from top to bottom at least once a year. Point out any areas that concern you on your skin to your physician. Whether it's a cosmetic or medical concern is equally important. Always use sunscreen SPF 15 or more and reapply it to yourself after washing or bathing. Use it all year round. Consult your physician about topical treatment to reverse sun damage. Like the way you look. Don't overexpose yourself to the sun's damaging rays and become self-conscious or worried about skin cancers. Take care of your skin. Ask your physician for help if you have any questions. Be confident that this is your time for living. This is Dr. Alan Abrams with your Medical Minute.
If you have any questions regarding any medical topics discussed on Time for Living, then write to Dr. Alan Abrams at Time for Living, care of Medical Minute, P.O. Box 8452, Boston, Massachusetts, 02114.
Or you can leave your comments or questions on our voicemail by calling 800-232-7213 or fax us at 617-329-1774. We'd love to hear from you.
When we come back, we'll share some of your phone calls and your comments. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We have a couple of follow-up comments concerning some of the wonderful calls we're getting from around the country. So, Grant's in Pittsburgh, we thank you for your inquiry regarding independent living. That information that you requested will be provided to you shortly. And Luther in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, the information you requested on prostate cancer has been gathered and will be sent to you next week. We thank all of you for your calls, and please know that information you request will always be provided.
Now, as far as letters, this letter is from one of our former guests on the program who discussed herbal remedies, herbal heart remedies. In summary, Sharon Quinn writes, the response to the show has been tremendous. We started getting calls immediately in New England, where the show airs live, and they're still coming in. We also got a flood of calls from Pittsburgh when the show aired there on April 27th. Some people even tracked down our address so they could write to us about their personal health situations. Thank you again for the opportunity. Best wishes for your continued success. Sincerely, Shannon Quinn. And one last note to Denise in Bristol, Rhode Island. We'll be sending that information on critical life insurance that Steve Burke provided in his Health, Finance, and More segment. And thanks for your letter.
Before we say goodbye, we'd like to give you our address and phone numbers one last time. You can write or call us with your questions, comments, or suggestions, because remember, this show is not only for you, it's about you.
The address again is Time for Living, P.O. Box 8452, Boston, Massachusetts 02114, or send a fax to 617-329-1774. And if you don't feel like writing, you can leave us a message on our voicemail by calling 800-232-7213.
Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show, and we look forward to seeing you next week. We'll certainly have more interesting people and places to introduce you to.
We'll see you next week. Until then, remember, it's time for living.
Take care.
Bye-bye.